Welcome into the live stream here from McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That's Tyler back with you after a week where I was on the road working.
Yeah, you were the man well traveled, and I was on siesta.
I was well traveled. Went to Nashville. Got there on Saturday. Did some personal stuff Saturday and Sunday. I think I'll get my credential on Sunday. Then I did media days Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Got Carson to the Lipscomb camp on Friday, and got him. Picked him up about 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon. I did go watch them on Friday night at Lipscomb. Beautiful campus, by the way, Lipscomb University, right there on the east. I guess that's the east side.
East side.
No, it's not the east side. I don't know. It's Green Hills area of Nashville. And then we drove down to Birmingham. He did the UAB camp yesterday. Got back yesterday, so.
Just want to remind everybody, if we get cranked up, if they don't mind hitting that like and subscribe button. It's completely free.
It is.
Did you know that?
I did. 100%.
Wonder if there was hand-raised guys in the room. Hey, before we call this subscribe, people should know it's free.
Yeah. I would have said, hey, hit the follow or something.
Yeah.
Would have been a better. Because people are used to following on what used to be Twitter. It's now X.
Yes. I heard. I heard.
I love how triggered people get about that.
Like,
love it.
You know, almost if you pay like $900 million for a company, you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
I mean, you listen, if someone pays $900 million or whatever for MPW Digital
Whatever
and they want to rename it Z, Z it is. I mean,
what you got, boss?
I got no problem with that.
That's the best you got?
I mean, anything. You want to call it whatever you want to call it. I'm good.
No doubt.
For that amount of money.
Did you miss me last week?
I did. I enjoyed media days. I liked it in Nashville better than Birmingham. I don't think it's going back to Birmingham anytime soon. It's going to Dallas next year.
I would not think it goes back to Birmingham for a while.
It's going to it's West Side. Drew says it's going back to going to Dallas next year for the Texas OU thing, which will be a massive topic obviously next season.
Allegedly.
And then after that, man, I think it's Nashville, maybe Atlanta, Nashville. Yeah, it's got a lot of Nashville. Look,
good city.
And there was a lot of construction. Nashville's like, so I was on the 22nd floor, and you look out and it's just cranes everywhere.
Yeah,
it's wild. And then I stayed at a hotel in Green Springs on Friday night, and cranes out there too. It's crazy. There's a crane like right by my hotel. Watching the crane operator way up in the sky. It's like, dude, I could not do. I couldn't do what you do. But
you scared of heights?
More than I used to be, but not bad.
I'm terrified.
Really?
Of them now. Used to not care at all.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Have nothing besides, well, I fell off a ladder.
Yeah.
That sucked. But this has been like a last 5 to 10 years thing.
Yeah. No, I'm not scared of heights. But I wouldn't want to operate a crane up there. No thanks. But Nashville's for that kind of an event, it's perfect because you can hold it in one of those big hotels, and then you can have events, and then for media, there's stuff that they can go do because obviously you have that much media. Not everybody's going to want to do the same things.
Right.
People can go do different things, and they don't have to drive. You can walk.
Yep.
Like I walked, all the way. I walked to Broadway because it was just right there. We were on Broadway, but you had to walk down to the portion of Nashville that I refer to as
Nash Vegas.
It's as if Las Vegas and New Orleans met, had a child, and the child was sort of shy. That's Nashville. That's that part of Nashville.
Interesting.
It's kind of got a vibe to it.
It's got a vibe.
A little funky. A little more Western country music stuff.
I'm a big fan of Nashville, for what it's worth.
I like Nashville a lot. Now, I like that West Nashville Green. I like 12 South a lot. That's a cool little strip right there. I like that part of Nashville better than I like downtown. But downtown's cool. I'm good with it. Yeah. I mean, I think after being there, in my mind, it's inevitable that Major League Baseball goes there.
UFC is coming there August 5th.
Really?
They are.
Okay.
I don't think I can go either. How about that?
There's a lot there though. I'm a fan. I don't. I'll just say this. This is a fairly educated opinion. I think media days and Nashville have a bright future together.
I agree.
All right, we're gonna hit the button and get rolling here. So thanks for being part of our show. We will have a regular. I think we'll be Monday, Thursday for the. I don't have anything on my immediate. Trying to think if I have anything that's like a. The only one that if I don't know what Ole Miss's media day will be next Thursday.
We'll figure it out.
We'll adjust. So anyway, and I don't know that it's next Thursday. It might be next Friday. It might be next Saturday. Ain't nobody telling. Look, Kiffin probably doesn't know yet.
I would venture to say he has no idea.
And this is not meant as a criticism. I try to tell people this all the time. It's one of the reasons that the player shows didn't work last year. Okay.
You going there?
Yeah, I'm gonna go there.
I like how you doing it before we hit the button.
It doesn't work. It didn't because they're like you covered Alabama. You were at Alabama. You didn't cover Alabama.
I never
you were
covered them.
in Alabama. Saban. I'm gonna guess on what I know about Saban from you and others.
Yeah.
Plural.
Yeah.
Every Sunday's kind of the same.
Coach, he eats the same thing for lunch every day.
Yeah, I mean, every
He
Sunday.
had a turkey chef salad with ranch today for lunch, if anybody's curious.
But Sunday after a game, Alabama plays South Carolina on Saturday. Sunday is going to be the same as it will be the next Sunday when they've played Mississippi State on Saturday. The Sunday's the same. It's a regiment. It's a routine. Everyone knows what to expect.
Lane's not like that?
Sundays are not the same at Ole Miss. Period. The end.
Hit the button before we get fired from our own show.
Welcome into another edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That is Tyler. Welcome into our show. Neal McCready, Tyler Siskey here with you on this Monday, July the 24th. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for being with us. Please hit the like button here and hit the subscribe button. It's free. You don't really have to pay for anything. If you'd like to pay for something, you can. I can give you a Venmo. I can give you a PayPal. We can make that work.
Hell, I can send you an invoice if you want an invoice.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, however you want to do that, but you don't have to. But do hit the subscribe button. We're up over 6,000 subscribers. I'd love to get to 10,000 subscribers. That's my goal for the fall. I don't know that it's possible, but we're going to shoot for it.
We're getting there.
We have some plans to try to get there. Please hit that button. It's free, and we'd love to have you.
TikTok's doing well.
Yeah,
Cole's done a hell of a job.
Cole has done it.
Yeah. I think we're like 500 short from monetizing TikTok.
I had some feedback from people about TikTok when I was in Nashville. Believe it or not, there were a lot of people that talked about our presence on TikTok.
Speaking of rain,
yep,
I'm going with a harvest grape today.
Okay,
it's been probably a month since I've had a harvest grape.
Okay,
and you get that appreciation when you haven't had something for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this hits like a grape Fanta. It's just
I like grape Fanta.
It's where it's at. So if you get a chance to get you a rainstorm, try the harvest grape.
We are brought to you, as we said, by Rain Total Body Fuel. It's got 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits, achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more. Yeah, Josh Pate. Josh Pate's a stud. He's done a phenomenal job. Josh Pate, maybe as much as anybody in the entire industry, has a brand. I love Josh's story. He's too big now for me to get him on with me, but he's huge, and he built that damn thing from the ground up himself. He's terrific at what he does. He was a kind of, because of his reach, was kind of a must stop for coaches at SEC Media Days. Had a bunch of guys on: Kiffin, Saban, Kirby. I think Brian Kelly. I'm sure there were others. Maybe Josh Heupel. There were a lot of others that came on his show. He's a beast. I give him tons of credit. He has been able to do what I have struggled to do. I have struggled to escape the bounds of beat the Ole Miss guy. I can't get past it. I'll be honest with you. I'm working on it, but it's
because you don't wear your hog hat enough.
Well, you know what's funny, man, is we will talk about Arkansas at times on the show, and I will send this to people who have Arkansas reach, and they won't do it because they're so scared of me being the Ole Miss guy. Unbelievable. But like they've done that. My buddies at the next round, Ryan Brown,
Yeah.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, they kick ass. They had a huge, great setup. I did their show on Thursday in Nashville. They had a setup. I'm super happy for them. So proud of them. I'm always careful what I say. I knew a lot about what they were working on before it was
Public.
Yeah, but actually before it was even like I knew of the concept when they were still thinking about what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And trying to decide, and they've just torn it up. Big time happy for them. I'm not one of these people that gets jealous of other people's success. I get happy for people. I know how hard it is to get where they've gotten, how hard it was for Josh Pate to get to where he got. I'm super pumped for him.
No, they do a good job, man. It's what's lovely about. I mean, if you talk ball, enjoy sports, listen to them all. I don't hate anybody.
Oh no, absolutely.
I listen to all those guys when I have time, which I don't have a lot of time, but when I have time, I do.
Yeah, I have people say, if you could do a do-over, what would you do? It would have been 10 years ago when I realized, well, it was more like 8 years ago when I realized this podcasting thing is kind of interesting. I would have immediately at that point ventured outside of just one genre.
Yep.
Because I think that's where my strength lies a little bit.
Yep.
And because when you're limited to one school, one fan base, it is finite.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
It's all finite. But if you like Pate and you become like the voice of college football in his mind, not in his mind, but in
Right.
now you have a whole bunch of markets you
got
can draw from. And that's one of the reasons that his numbers have taken off.
All right. I want to go ahead and start with this. And then for those that don't know, KD Hill had an accident this weekend, car accident. It's going into his football career. I'm just obviously thankful he's alive. But just I wanted to say from somebody that was around him every day for 2 years, 2.5 years, where it was, just a unbelievable human being. Talked to everyone, super nice. I've never had anything negative. Like some kids be like, yeah, he's a good kid, but he's a turd. You know, he doesn't practice hard. Whatever.
You guys recruited him, right? Out of Eufaula?
So he was recruited, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was in the interim class. He was here when I got here. All right. So,
okay.
But he was obviously young, so I think he was in the 18 class. I'd have to go back and look, but regardless, so
the tail end of Hugh's time here?
Maybe Matt's interim year.
Okay, gotcha.
I'd have to go back and look. But anyway, long story short is you cannot find a human being inside that building that ever met the guy that thought something negative about him. Just a great human being. Could always count on him to do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
When, you needed him in a game, he always showed up. He always took took one for the team. He's a team guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll give you a media example.
Great human.
I'll give you a media example. At the end of seasons, especially in today's modern college football where these programs, for whatever reason, are so guarded and so locked down, by the end of the year, stuff's going on inside the programs almost without fail, right? People are tired. It's a long year. And we start getting the same 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
And they show up. Like, who we getting? Used to be Mike Hilton back in the day. Mike Hilton. And I would be the guy that goes, I love Mike. But we have talked to Mike 3 times in the last 2 weeks. Like, what in the hell is he going to talk about? Yeah. What are we going to ask him? You're bringing him in here. He's going to stare at us. We're going to stare at him. If y'all don't want us to talk to anybody, just tell us. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, KD Hill was that guy last year.
Yeah.
Hey, we're bringing in KD. Why? Why are you doing that to KD? But every time he would come in, smile on his face, he didn't want to talk to us.
Yeah.
And we didn't have anything really to ask him. And he was going to be the corporate guy. Hey, what's going wrong with the season? We're just really working hard. Blah, 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 blah. But there are times with people who aren't the same, and I'm not naming names, who don't have the same level of character as a guy like KD, who they would come in and get kind of pissed off that we didn't have anything to ask. And they'd look at you like, why am I here? And we look at him like, we don't know why you're here. Yeah. Ask them, KD was never that guy. He was always pleasant, smile on his face. That doesn't, from the outside, nobody would think that's a hard job. But that's tough. You're coming in and the media is frustrated because we wanted to talk to Quinshon. We wanted to talk, to
Dart or whoever.
Whoever. We wanted to talk to the people that, hey, what's going on? Like, what happened? What's happening with, we wanted to talk to somebody who was Malik Keith last year.
Yeah.
Because if you ask Malik a question, hey, is this Kiffin thing a distraction? He'd tell you the truth. Right?
That's probably why he wasn't
and
in
that's
there.
why he wasn't in there. And so it was that kind of thing. But KD, so I'm like you. I'm
Yeah.
totally cheering for you, KD, in the event that you see this.
Yeah, I love him. I think he's one of the finest human beings I've ever been associated with on a football field. It's sad, but I'm also at the same time happy that he's alive.
All right, so we'll touch on this quick because
Yeah.
it's kind of old news, but you had some
Yeah.
takeaways from SEC Media Days.
I saw a lot of clicks. It's SEC Media Days. People gotta take their shots to get their deal. So Nick Saban, people don't realize he is not lying about this quarterback competition. People think, oh, you're just saying that. You brought in a guy from Notre Dame. You know who's going to be the starting quarterback. I'm going to tell you two things. One is I know for a fact he's not, because I've actually I guess one of the last ones, may have been the last ones, that he actually had a quarterback competition. Maybe the second last one. When Jake Coker came in from Florida State and Blake Sims was there, we went to a staff meeting on Saturday morning, like the third scrimmage. Yeah, third scrimmage. In the staff meeting that morning, he said, we're naming Jake. Or he didn't say we. He goes, I'm going to name Jake. We've got like 2 weeks left for the opener. I'm going to name Jake the starter at the press conference after the scrimmage. That's how we left the staff meeting that morning.
Right.
We went and had the scrimmage. Didn't go so well. It was like a driving rainstorm, and Jake didn't do well. He didn't make an announcement at the press conference and let it play out for a couple more days before he ended up naming Blake. And so when he says there's a real quarterback, he's not in a hurry. He is not in a hurry. He's not. And I'll say this: people forget about this. So they bring in Buckner from Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
Tommy Rees. They think Tommy Rees is the OC, so it makes sense to bring him in. Ty Simpson's the one that's ahead because Tommy Rees is not changing the playbook. People forget about that. This isn't your normal OC deal. He's running Alabama stuff. So
Right.
if anybody has a head start, it's Ty Simpson, not Buckner, right?
Right.
So on that, so I thought that was interesting. People would think, oh, he knows who he's doing. I saw a lot of this. Jimbo was playing coy again on the play calling. Look, people can call it what they want to call it.
It's stupid.
Everybody inside the coaching world, I think he's doing it because he thinks people don't know, and that he can keep people from preparing early in the season for his stuff or his stuff. Bobby Petrino is calling the offense. Period. Shocker, breaking news. Bobby Petrino is calling an offense. I don't know what Jimbo's mode is here.
Why not just say that?
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of is that he's trying to say, oh, you got to prepare for me. You got to prepare for Bobby, who you got to prepare for. That's the only thing I can think of.
Everybody's got 400 staffers on their staff these days. They're preparing for everything.
But I don't know. I just, there's only so much time you can prep and practice.
I understand
that's the trick. It really is an advantage if you don't know.
But who's Texas A&M playing week 1?
I know they got Miami early. It's week 2 though, right?
Okay, so whoever they're playing week 1, there's going to be film.
Let's see.
you know what I mean?
It bothers you, I know.
Well, I think
they're playing the New Mexico Lobos.
It's an unnecessary
Miami
thing.
week 2. Playing Fun Row week 3 though.
It's an unnecessary thing. They're going to have 3 weeks of film by the time they play Arkansas in league play. So Arkansas is going to have 3 weeks of film to prepare for, and they've got 5,000 staffers there too. So they're going to have people that look at trends and figure it out and all that stuff, and they're going to know they're running Petrino's offense. But they're going to be scouting for Petrino's offense, not Jimbo's, if that's the case.
I just thought it was weird. You know what I mean?
Because it was weird.
Like,
I mean, I don't.
Petrino's calling it.
You had the whole week to know, or how long you prepared for this, to know. Hey, the first thing they're going to ask you about is Petrino and the offense. So get on message. I am alarmed when a head coach is not on message. Just me. It sent up alarm bells for me. I was like, wait, but why? Why not just say, hey, yeah, we hired Bobby. He's terrific at what he does. It's his offense. I'm obviously going to be able to, I'm the head coach. I'm going to be there for support, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
he'll do what a head coach does.
I'm going to do what a head coach does, but no, this is Bobby's offense. End of conversation.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that, and he didn't do it. And when he didn't do it, I went, you know what?
I knew when he said that. I shit you not. I was listening to it. I was working on some stuff at work, and I had it on like another side computer. And as soon as he did that, I didn't text you because I knew you were working. Like I didn't bother you while I knew you were actually doing stuff. I was like, I guarantee you that triggered Neal. I guarantee you.
Well, it didn't trigger me, but it made
You
me
went like
go,
this.
I went, oh, he's unwilling to say that out loud. And I just thought that was interesting. Anyway, go
All
ahead.
right. And then last thing, Lane, look, Lane is Lane, but he's telling the truth about this big picture stuff with the NLI and pay for play and the problems. I will say this. Look, there's no secret that about me and Lane. If there's a secret, I'm apologize. Catch up. There's a lot of podcasts you can listen to.
Grind, I'm picking Arkansas to finish 5th. That's not high on them. 5th.
We're going to get into the SEC West here in just a minute, Grind. But look, Lane's telling the truth in big picture. I respect the hell out of him as a play caller. I respect it. Like, I wish, as vocal as he is, and hopefully that he's been very big picture with you guys in local media.
Yes.
Very big picture.
Yes. It's
not
all
so much.
It's all he really likes to talk about.
But not so much national media, right? A little bit, not a lot.
Right.
I wish he was more vocal because that's one thing we do agree on.
Did you see the pushback he got from some of the national people? They did not appreciate it being called a disaster. He does.
But he's the only one that's really talking about it, which I don't understand why. I don't understand why. There are plenty of coaches. I'll say this. Why can't he talk about it like that? Because he just signed a brand new $9 million a year contract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can fire his ass tomorrow. He'll go to Boca. I promise you. He'll be fishing by lunch. It may not even take him that long. Okay. He's secure.
Sure.
He's good. Whatever happens, he's good for forever. But there are other coaches out there like that I wish in a national audience, which he had, because he's saying the same thing we've been saying since we started the show. And I'm glad I agree with him 100%. I was hoping to God somebody was going to follow up the question about nobody asked the question about canceling the transfer rule. And I wish they would do that. It would make it a lot easier. But anyway, we'll move on. All right. I want to touch on this briefly. I texted you about this over the break at some point in time. I don't remember when. Have you watched the quarterback show on Netflix?
I have. You and several other people recommended it to me, people who know me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, you know me, if it's like, hey, we're going to do this hardcore football show, I'm like, I'm out.
It's a great mix.
It's really, really good. And I'm almost through 5 episodes. And
I finished that shit in like a day and a half.
I'm almost through 5 episodes. I'm this close to being a Minnesota Vikings fan.
Really?
Oh, Kirk Cousins, I'm in.
You're in?
100%. Great guy.
All right, so that's part of what I want to talk about. So if you haven't watched it, guys, just hit mute. I don't want to spoil your surprise, but Quarterback on Netflix is a unbelievable show. And it takes, for me, it's like a glimpse into, it was kind of cool because it was the first time I saw the tennis. I've seen some of the F1. I've seen the golf, right? So this was done by Omaha Productions, Peyton Manning.
Yep.
All right, so very well done. And it kind of literally gives you the inside of what goes on playing the game, the other stuff that happens besides what you see on TV on Saturday or Sunday, right? And from a fan's perspective, because I don't know Kirk Cousins. I don't know Patrick Mahomes. I don't know Marcus Mariota. Never met him.
Sure.
It made me change my opinion of people, my fan, because I'm technically a fan of them, right? So my whole opinion of them as a quarterback and as a person changed on every single one of them. I changed. So like Kirk Cousins, I envisioned this fiery, tough, gritty guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was totally the opposite. He's very calm, mellow, very logical, deep thinker, simple.
Love his wife. She's great.
Great. Dude, talking about hitting the jackpot. And how about this? He met her after he was a pro quarterback, which was extremely unusual, right? Very faith-centered, mental part of the game. The only thing if I had to pick on him one time, I know it's a tough position, but he gave into the pain too much. He spent a lot of time on that show going, He was hurting a lot.
Yeah.
There is things for that. We call that Toradol. You get some Toradol and a roll of tape. It'll cure AIDS. This episode brought to you by the Biden administration. That's totally a joke. No way cancel us for that. But it was interesting. Marcus Mariota, it made sense to me why he hasn't been successful after watching that show.
Agreed.
Okay. And
still, I like him a bunch.
He's a phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
Football is not, if you watch that show, he is, in my opinion, this is when you see, and you've seen these reports, okay? When you hear about scouting reports, He is the definition of when football is not important to you. You'll get to ask that question. How important is football to, like, scouts ask that question. How much does he love football? I think he loves the game, but it's not as important to him as it very apparently is the other two.
Agreed. 100%,
Okay.
100%.
And it's nothing's wrong with that. That's just who he is, right?
Right.
Big time family guy. He's laid back.
At 45, he will be perfectly fine. He will be a great guy. People will love him. Yeah, he's awesome.
Nothing. This is not a character
debate.
Right. This is just he is just the game is what it is to him. It's a game that he's good at. He wants to help people. He's a great guy, but he didn't really go do the extra.
The fire doesn't burn.
Burn as hot.
Right.
And once you
with Cousins and Mahomes, it really burns hot.
And there's 32 of those jobs, right? So you got to be the elite of the elite with a fire burning.
Like if you gave Cousins Mahomes' talent,
forget about it.
Dear God.
But that's why
Mahomes is so great. Is Mahomes is that talented with that drive.
All right, that's a perfect transition because this was the next thing I want to talk about is the mental part of the game. All right, people used to shit on me all the time. They used to make fun of me because I used to have this thing called 5 for 5, right? When I'm evaluating players. All right, your talent level sets the bar. All right, if you're watching film and you're evaluating a player, the talent level of a player sets the bar. That's where it is, right here. Now, whether the bar goes up or down is the other shit, okay, which is mostly the mental side of the game. So you take somebody like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, of those three players, you all right over there?
Yeah.
The hell is that your foot?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, dude.
I'm okay. I need some Toradol.
It looked like some bit you. All right, so, but Kirk Cousins.
Felt like it.
Kirk Cousins of those three is the least talented of those three guys. Agree?
Yes.
But he moves ahead of Mariota because of the other things. Does that make sense? Like his bar is moved up,
of course,
because of the other things.
Work ethic, drive, intelligence, football intelligence, competitiveness.
Right. And so when you get super elite players like Patrick Mahomes, all right, Amari Cooper, when you get super elite players, those guys have elite talent and the elite mental.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So when you're evaluating players, that is such a huge component of that's just as important as the physical side is the mental side. And I don't think fans appreciate that or understand that. Does that make sense?
Of course, 100%.
And I know you didn't watch this. I saw this today on Twitter. I thought this was awesome.
It's X now. It's not Twitter.
Or X, excuse me. But talking about the mental side, I know you didn't watch the British Open, could care two things about it. But I saw this stat, and this was the last 8 majors. Okay, so the last 2 years of majors. We just finished. There's 4 a year, right?
Yep.
And so it took the score to par of all the golfers and all 8 majors combined. There are only 10 golfers in the entire world who are under par in the last 8 majors. Okay.
Okay.
The 10th one is Shane Lowry at -2, and it goes up. Well, in third place is Cam Smith. He's -21 in the last 8 majors. He won the British Open last year by shooting -20, by the way. So 20 of his 21 came from that one tournament. Scotty Scheffler, who's the world number 1, is -36. So 15 shots better than third place. Well, in first place is Rory McIlroy at -41, and he has not won a major.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about the mental side of it, he has put so much pressure on himself to win a major because of the questions. He can't close one out. He cannot close the sumbitch out. But he's there, but he can't close it out. And that's just going to the mental because if you're a golf fan and you watch on Sunday, he can't make a putt. When he gets close to the lead, he can't make a putt. So anyway, but the mental side of the game is so important. All right. I want to you got any bills you want to pay before we finish this?
I'll pay a couple real quick. We are brought to you by our friends at Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great products and services. If you live in Oxford, Tupelo, the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429.
This happened while we were gone, so I want to talk about it just a brief bit. The Tennessee penalties came out from the NCAA while we were on break last week. I bet that was perfect timing for SEC Media Days, huh?
You know, it got asked about a couple of times, but people just kind of moved on from it. I mean, Kiffin gave a funny line about it. Heupel was like ecstatic.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's kind of, I think we are in a new age of, and I have a mailbag question about this that I'll have to talk about on Wednesday, so I'll be brief here. We're in a new age of college athletics where you can pay the players. Nobody's kidding themselves anymore. They're getting paid. They're getting promised NIL deals to come. And the NCAA portion of college football is now hanging out with the dinosaurs.
So this penalty that they got about 5 years ago would have been crippling.
Mm-hmm.
It'd have been crippling to a program. But basically, they got 28 scholarships over 5 years. And I'm going, in the day of NIL, they won't see one problem with that because they'll just NIL the scholarships.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not even a penalty.
Well, they'd already done 16 of them.
They did 16 of them. But again, they did it last 2 years when NIL was possible. So they've been doing this for a while. So they're not going to feel the effects at all from that part of it. The $8 million fine is probably the only thing that's really,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Just
yeah.
but like, okay.
I mean, $8 million.
$8 million is $8 million.
$8 million to Tennessee today is, I mean, it's a penalty. You'd rather have the
only fine.
You'd rather have the $8 million, but it's not.
That's not going to keep them from winning a football game.
It's not changing the way they operate day to day.
And then the one that I had to talk to you about that just bothers me, and this is the only reason we're really talking about this because it really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Can somebody please explain to me when you're in the room? So NCAA, if you're listening, I'd like to know who says, "By gosh, I got an idea." You know what we're going to do? We're going to vacate wins from 3 years ago. Like, what is even the point? Like, how is that punishment?
I don't know.
Can somebody
please I don't have
explain that to me?
I got nothing.
Vacating wins.
Sorry, I've got zero.
Like, by God, you ain't gonna cheat on me. I'm gonna vacate your wins.
That's gonna show them.
That'll show them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do they do? If you win something, they come take the trophy back.
You're supposed to send it back.
Kiss my ass. I ain't sending you back shit. We won that thing. I guarantee you, if we got fired because we lost somebody, they don't get to go put us in a bowl game back. We don't have to go back in time. We get a win bonus or anything in our contract.
Nope.
Doesn't get taken away.
Nope.
Nope. Not one time.
Nope. Meaningless.
Meaningless.
Agreed.
Has there ever been a penalty worth of shit less than that?
You know my thoughts on this. I think the NCAA has been rendered toothless. I think it has been rendered. It is a wounded puppy. Simply just it can't be saved.
Hey,
it's over.
My favorite thing is when a coach gets
except
it goes on the record.
Where the NCAA is going to get people is this eligibility thing. They're going to start hammering. They're going to start cracking down on this eligibility because it's their only tool left in their toolbox, and they're just going to keep swinging it.
Well, they got one. They just don't want to pull it out. It's still in the plastic. They don't want to pull it out. We'll talk about that later. I'm not getting on that subject. But Pruitt got a 6-year show cause. The two recruiting staffers, one got a 5-year and one got a 10-year show cause.
All three of those people are out of the business. It's over.
And then 2 assistants got 2 years. But show calls, just for the fans know this too, show calls doesn't mean that you can't get a job. It just means that if you're employed by a university, they have to go meet with the NCAA and show cause of why your penalties should not follow you.
All right, let me do this. I'll put you on the spot.
Like Bruce Pearl got hired at Auburn.
He did.
And he had
Let me put you on the spot because there's been a lot of speculation about Jeremy Pruitt going to Alabama and joining the Nick Saban staff. Will this prevent Nick Saban from hiring Jeremy Pruitt?
Be honest with you, I don't know. I haven't asked.
What would you guess?
I wouldn't even know what to say, yes or no. But look, Pruitt's a very good football coach. The whole penalties thing, and I just thought it was the comical thing in this is all this is over $60,000, which can't buy you a 3-star DB these days. That was
literally
I'm like, $60,000.
$60,000. $60,000 now.
What can you buy for $60,000 these days in football?
3
years later,
a tweener, possible depth piece out of the portal
Okay.
from a FCS. Is it FCS to FBS?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could get a kid from like a nickel state kind of kid who's got a chance to provide depth for you
And then
for 60.
Yeah. So I just thought
It's the part of this, frankly, and I'm getting off of it because I don't.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of it already. I know fans like tell me numbers. I'm like, it's not worth it. If people knew the numbers that flew around on this with the portal and the high school kids, I think they'd be floored.
because they think it's
I think people
not as enough, or
I don't think people know the numbers are as big as they are. Like the kids that the portal kids that
the
are
elite kids.
Yeah, I mean, well, not even elite, just good kids out of the portal with a couple of years left that are getting 250.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody ever really thought that. They hear these high school numbers and they go, it's not real. I'm like, it is real. It's promised. Now, are the kids getting the money? I don't know. But that's the deal that's being cut.
It's all about the leverage, right? The kids out of the portal can get, if you have multiple years out of the portal, let's say you get a kid from Nickel State that's a freshman, and you say, hey, I'm going to give you, let's say he's got 4 years left, just for shits and giggles. No, 3 years left. I'm going to give you $300,000 for 3 years. Kid signs up. Well, now he can't go anywhere, right?
Right.
If he doesn't produce, they'll drop his name NIL deal.
Right.
All right.
And so you never get it. It's not like it's why when, again, I'm stopping. It's professional sports. No, it's not. You give Dansby Swanson 7 years and $170 million. He's making $170 million over 7 years.
Right.
I mean, if he sucks, he's still getting it.
Yep.
If he's awesome, that's what he's getting. He's not the Cubs aren't gonna go back and go, hey, you were even better than we thought you'd be. Here's another $200 million to prevent you from leaving to go to the Dodgers. No, he's on a contract.
Right. Oh, I had this whole conversation with my son today. But anyway, these kids, the high school kids now, they can leave, right?
Yeah. It's why giving, and I'm not talking about a specific high school kid because I desperately don't want this to be an Ole Miss show.
Yeah.
Okay? Dear sweet baby Jesus, just this one show, let it not be about Ole Miss so that I can grow. Giving a high school kid an $800,000 deal, even if you say, hey, this is over 4 years, whatever, right? Okay, when he gets a quarter of it up front and he has a good season, he's jumping in the portal.
Or if he sucks.
If he sucks, it's all, this is the part where Lane's right, where Lane says it's a disaster. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
It makes no business sense.
Zero business sense.
And so it's dumb.
No doubt.
And so the only schools that can afford to do this are the handful of schools that have unlimited resources. And it's a very small handful, and most of those schools aren't spending a lot of time in the portal, so they can do kind of almost deals with high school kids that they have the power. They have the power, and they can tell the kids, so here's what you're going to get. We'll give you this, and if you do well, it's going to grow to this, and you got to do all the it's not pro sports. The Dansby Swanson example is a really good one. Okay.
Yeah.
He signed a 7-year, $70 million deal. I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter.
How's he doing, by the way?
He's good.
Okay.
He's good. He has.
You happy?
Yeah, he's worth it. But it's probably the right value so far. But he's under contract for 6 more years. So if he kicks ass and becomes the best shortstop in the game, and he goes, hey, so I'm making 17 a year, and the second best shortstop's making 34. I want 35.
Nope.
I want a full head of hair, Dansby. It ain't happening. You signed a long-term deal. Now, the flip side of it is if he tears an ACL and misses a year,
he's good.
He still gets his money, and the Cubs don't get to go, well, you didn't produce. We've got this kid in the minors that's coming up. We really like him. So what we're going to do is, hey, we're going to put you in the portal. Get what you can get. You've got him. And so if you want to move Swanson, you can trade him, but another team's going to go, okay, like you trade him to the Twins, and the Twins go, that's fine. We're willing to pay him $5 a year. You pick up the other 12.
Yeah.
Because he's getting 17. College is not like that. So stop with it's pro sports. It's not pro sports. Nothing about it makes sense. At pro sports, you have budgets. You know precisely what people get. There's labor agreements. There's arbitration. You know when you trade for Dame Lillard, You know specifically what Dame Lillard's contract is. It is locked in stone. It's not a malleable thing. No, it's concrete. Dame Lillard's getting this. So to do it, you've got to move him and you've got to take equal parts salary. So you've got to put contracts in.
Salary caps and shit.
It's stuff. It's not, well, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take him and then we'll figure it out. No. You get him. And so if you move him and you're Portland, for example, and you trade him to Miami, you have to take on assets that make the deal workable. And so they're like, okay, well, we'll take Tyler Harrow. What's he make? $18 million. Okay, there's $18 million. It's not, well, we don't think he's worth $18 million. Guess what? His contract says he is. So he is.
I love when you get cranked up.
I just can't stand it. I want to scream when they
didn't know that
they all do the this is pro sports. Like, I want to go, do you all pay attention? And I know the answer is they're so busy with their worlds that they don't pay attention to pro sports. Right. It's not pro sports.
No, it's not even close. All right, Neal, let's jump into this bad boy. Let's talk a little SEC West. A little football today. Let's do a little football today, Neal.
Yeah, let's do
what we do.
All right.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the SEC West. We'll do SEC East on Thursday, okay?
Okay.
And what I want to do is we're going to go through the teams. All right, we're not predicting records. You're more than feel free to do that if you would like. But what I want to do is I want to talk about questions and concerns with each, or if you have any questions or concerns.
Okay.
Since you spent a whole week, you got to listen to everybody talk. You probably got a little bit better idea what's going on.
I did talk to a lot of people behind the scenes about
Yeah.
all of these teams. Yeah, so, it was what the part of it that was good for me was the part that I didn't write about. The part that nobody saw was getting to kind of have some, just sit there and have a conversation. Hey, with the guy covering Tennessee, for example, like, what do you really think?
Yeah, because
I've known a lot of these people for a long time, and when I say, hey, what do you really think? I kind of get an honest answer.
Yeah, so we're going to go through it, and we'll start off with the University of Alabama, Crimson Tide.
All right.
What are your questions and concerns? And then I'll do mine. Well, you want me to start?
Okay, I'll start. I'm a big cliche person. Cliches that stick around for a reason. I did talk to some people around the Alabama program who are pretty realistic. A lot of people around the Alabama program, this is not a criticism, have seen so much success over the last
understand what the other half
15 years that they're just like, I don't know, they're going to win. They always win. I get that. I mean, hey, if I've covered Alabama for 15 years, that's kind of my default setting too. Is well, I mean, I don't know. They're Alabama. They're going to play the song and they're going to wear the uniform and they'll win. Saban's still there. They're going to win. Other people were like, look, there's going to be a fall off at quarterback. You're a generational talent left. And now you have three dudes. And, if you have three quarterbacks, usually it means you might not have a quarterback. Now, that's hyperbolic.
Yeah.
All these guys have talent. But nobody has completely asserted themselves yet. It's a concern. I don't know that up front on offense, Alabama is quite as good as it's been in the past, and that they're probably still plenty good enough. And then, I think just the question mark of maybe I got the impression that two things. One, Saban likes this team. But for the first time, Alabama is as vulnerable to the human part of this as it's been in a long time. Because look, because of NIL, because of Kirby and what he's done at Georgia, because of the success Tennessee has begun to have on the recruiting trail, because of the success that some other programs have begun to have, some of the depth pieces that Alabama has had in the past, they might not have. They might be their depth might be a little more untested and youthful than it's been in the past. And not that that's a concern, just worth noting that if they have a run on injuries, they might not be able to overcome it as easily as they have in the past.
I agree with most of that. Here's my questions and concerns at Alabama is it's not necessarily about who the quarterback is. It's just depending on who the quarterback is the offense that you're going to have to run, right?
Yeah.
So if Milroe is the quarterback, you're going to see a lot more quarterback run and things like that, where you take the ball out of the playmaker's hands. I think Alabama has a lot of receiver depth coming back.
They do.
See, I think they're more deep up front than you do, I think.
Okay.
I think they're as good at every other position on the field that they've been in a long time, minus the quarterback. And everybody wants to focus on quarterback. Like we talked about earlier, I think Ty Simpson has a lead going into this thing as fall camp starts. We'll see.
I think I agree.
Obviously, we'll see.
I think I'd bet on Simpson.
But it's not done. I mean, he's going to have to go. It's going to be one during fall camp. That is not – a lot of coaches say – I guarantee you this. I guarantee you there is a coach that was at SEC Media Days that says, oh, we have an open quarterback competition. And bullshit. That thing's been decided for months. But you got to say things to keep kids around or for whatever reason, right?
Sure.
This one's not. This one's, I think, is open. I think it comes into a fact of this. The reason I think Ty Simpson has the lead is because if Milroe goes in, now he's got to be the catalyst of the offense. He's got to do the quarterback run. He's got to do all these things. With Ty Simpson or even Buckner, whoever, right? I think that lets you use the other Jace McClellan. You got all these guys around you. You know, you got the receivers that are coming. You got everything around you. You need a quarterback that just is not going to lose the game. He doesn't have to win it. You're not looking for a quarterback. And what's funny is for the history of Alabama football has been nothing but quarterbacks that didn't lose the game until recently.
Yeah.
In modern times.
They've had this run on stars.
Yes. You had Mac Jones. You had Tua. You had Jalen Hurts. You had Bryce Young. I mean, you had 4 dudes that are going to be starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. Your last 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah. It's impressive.
All right.
It's just been an amazing program.
Part
of what's hard to judge with Alabama is, and this is a compliment to them, it's just that they've been so freaking good, that so dominant, that it's hard to completely just know how to evaluate them.
Yeah, no, it's
but it's clear that at least right now they don't have the next big star in waiting. Just, I'm not saying, and look, Simpson might end up being a star. I mean, people have talked about Simpson for a long time.
He's talented.
But you know, Bryce was
special,
big time.
But here's the other thing I was thinking about the other day. Bryce Young was the last guy that came in and played young, right? He was number 1 freaking pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Maybe Ty's more like Mac Jones. You know,
right.
Mac Jones stuck around for a couple of years, still became a first-round pick.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, listen. I mean, if someone were to come down and go, Ty Simpson is a first-round pick in 3 years, am I surprised? No, not even a little bit. It just, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, and we'll get to him next, is what's interesting about Alabama is that this is the first time in a while that there's another team in the West that legitimately is a massive contender. They did it a year ago. They're very, very talented. They have a swagger about them. I think LSU knows it can beat Alabama. Not that it will beat Alabama, but LSU knows it can beat Alabama. And I think people view Alabama, fairly or not, we're going to find out. But I think after last season and all the close games and Bryce being gone and Sanders being gone, Anderson, being gone, I think people look at Alabama and go, they're more human than they used to be.
I'm not selling, everybody would, I think you picked LSU to win at the SEC Media Days. Is that right?
I did. Which just set me up to be wrong.
Yeah, but that's okay.
You can justify LSU.
100%.
Yeah. That's the only 2 teams in the West you can justify.
Yeah, I personally, until they prove, I'm as long as he's the head coach there, I'm always going to pick them first because you're going to be more right than you're going to be wrong.
Sure. I'm prepared to eat crow on Bama, and
LSU's going to be good regardless.
And so when people go, "How do you want your crow?" I'm like, "Dude,
whatever."
That crow's been marinating in buttermilk for a while, so I'm good with it.
But
whatever.
To me, they're two. Really, all 3. They're 3 biggest challenges to lose a game this year is Texas.
Yep.
Where's that game being played?
It's in Tuscaloosa. LSU's in Tuscaloosa, and then Tennessee's in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, their schedule's very favorable.
Very favorable for the stuff that they've gone through. They like their team over there.
Yeah,
I do know that. So I'm interested to see them play. Yeah, they like their team. So I'm not selling, but that'd be the most important. Most question I have is who's quarterback, and then how does the offense fit around him? I think that's why it's going to be Ty Simpson. Because I just don't see them taking the ball out of other people's hands to put it in Milroe's hands to run quarterback read. All right, LSU.
Oh, I think it's simple because Brian Kelly told us what it was.
All right, go ahead.
I actually loved his answer. I loved his presentation. I was really impressed with it. He said, hey, basically, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
we know who we're chasing, and we played them on the field. We got to see where we were, and we think we're recruiting at that level.
They are.
And
Quickie client.
We're not there yet, which meant we don't have as many players yet as they do, which told me that his concern is depth.
100%.
Simple as that. He's very confident, should be. They're very, very talented. If you promised them health, they're a national title contender.
If they stay, go ahead.
They don't have many weaknesses. There's no spot on their field, and I'm talking about starting 22 to 44. There's no spot on the field where you go, ooh, that's a problem. Nope, not one. They've got two really good quarterbacks. They like them both. They've got guys who can run the football. They've got receivers, elite receivers. They're good up front. A couple of elite players up front. Defensively, Mason Smith's a beast. If you talk to LSU people, he was.
Don't forget about my guy, Harold Perkins.
No, I was going to talk about Perkins. But if you talk to people around LSU, they'll all tell you that last year in camp, Mason was the best player on the field.
Yeah.
And he didn't play. He went down first series of the first game. Well, he's back. And Perkins is a year older. And by the middle of last year, Perkins was maybe the best defensive player in the SEC, not named Will Anderson.
100%.
And
that's who I feel like we're looking at, that type of player in year 2 already.
And then they just have dudes in the secondary. They're really good. And now their schedule, they got to go to Tuscaloosa. We talked about that. They got Florida State early. And so depth could become a concern for them. But look, they're explosive. And Jaden Daniels, I was really impressed with Jaden Daniels. I got a chance to talk to him for a few minutes. And he's very bright. He's bigger than I thought he was. He's gained some weight. He talked to me about how he got through last season and realized he was playing small, that he needed to get bigger, had to put some quality weight on, that the league's a different league than the Pac-12. And he's like, it's hard to make those adjustments on the fly, but you can make them in the offseason. We talked about Walker Howard. He's just a really good kid, a lot of leadership skills, very charismatic. I'm in on Jaden Daniels. And last year I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe we're overrating this kid a little bit. Not anymore. I'm in on Jaden. Really, really, really like the way he carries himself. And so, to me, it kind of came down to that for me, the Alabama LSU thing. If Bryce Young was still at Alabama, I'd have picked Alabama. It was Alabama doesn't know what it's doing at quarterback. LSU does. And the backup at LSU would start at a bunch of places in this league. A bunch. And it might end up starting there. So that's how good they are.
Yeah, I don't know how many he wouldn't start. Mine's not going to be long because I'm echoing the same thing. Mine's just depth on defense. They have, if you told me that they had no significant injuries and they're too deep to start the season, if you told me that, said, hey, Tyler, look.
Yeah, the football gods come down.
And they say, hey, there's not a single player in their opening day too deep that has a significant injury. And I want to mean significant season ending.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably pick them maybe to win it all.
I think I would. Yeah, I agree.
People do not realize. So if you're listening to this podcast, you can take it or not take it. This league is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
All right. You have, and it's the dings, right? And I was explaining this, which we'll get to this team in a little bit. I was explaining this to a buddy of mine. When you have guys go down, so I coach receivers, right? I'm a big guy on receiver depth. When you coach receivers and you go to camp and you got, opening day of camp, I got 4 guys out. That's okay. They'll be back by the first game. But here's the problem. You go 4 weeks running the shit out of the other guys, and that leads to a lot of soft tissue injuries, and you're limping into your first game with guys that are hurt, but you got these fresh legs that don't have reps and they don't have chemistry. And there's a fine line. So if you can stay healthy even during camp, because you got to keep everyone fresh. It's not about keeping just the starters fresh. You got to do a good job of managing the whole team. But that's the whole deal with me is their total depth. They got plenty of ass to kick ass. Okay, they can be really good. It's just a matter of can they avoid significant injuries. Like I don't think they could afford a Mason Smith going down again or a Perkins going down for an extended period of time.
Agreed.
All right, Texas A&M.
I'll be short because I touched on it a minute ago. It's the Jimbo Petrino thing.
Okay.
I'm not sold. I can't. I can't rationalize that answer. And so I look at it and go, boy, when the bullets fly, is Jimbo going to let him do this? And if that's a problem, that's going to be a problem because unlike a lot of people, and look, A&M's talented, okay, but this is a talented league.
Mm-hmm.
It's a division where there's no. If someone comes to you and goes, pick an SEC team, SEC West team that's going to be shitty, they're not one. I mean,
it's as balanced. There's as much, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You've been covering it a lot longer than I have. Okay, but in my opinion, this is the most parity in the league that I can ever remember.
Certainly in the division, and maybe in the
West.
whole, and maybe in the whole league. So the margin for A&M to be better than Ole Miss and Arkansas and Auburn and Mississippi State, pretty damn thin. Okay, and I watched some of those games last year, and A&M was fortunate to beat Arkansas. A&M, lost to Ole Miss. They lost to Mississippi State. They were fortunate to beat Auburn. Did they beat Auburn? They lose to Auburn.
A&M?
Yeah,
they lost to Auburn.
Yeah, they lost to Auburn. I mean, they beat LSU at the end, but now Jaden wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
So don't give me the whole A&M's gangbusters. Well, they weren't. They haven't been. So if they have chemistry stuff at the top, it's going to trickle down and they'll lose those games. That's just how the league works.
All right, my questions is a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball at linebacker. DJ Durkin's defense coordinator done a great job. They're really talented. Similar situation, but they're incorporating more linebackers in that system, having enough dudes to go in there and be like you could get in some I'm interested to see what they do on defense. I think you can get in some situations on defense where their 11 best aren't on the field, if that makes sense, like with certain packages.
Yeah.
So I want to see that. But look, I think look at that. Speak of the devil, it shall appear. That's wrong. All right. I don't.
Quick you client.
Yeah, quick you client. I don't have as much concerns about the offensive side of the ball as the general public or the media.
Okay.
I feel very confident that I know what's happening there on that. I think they're going to be really good on offense.
And if you're right, they're going to be really good.
I think that's just my opinion. That'll buy you a cup of coffee. That's not a hot take. I'm just telling you from what I understand is that I think they're going to be really good on offense. I think they got a lot of talent. They got so much production coming back. And my biggest concern would be on defense, having the correct bodies to play the personnel packages that DJ wants to play.
I can see that.
All right, let's do it. Your Ole Miss Hotty Toddy Rebels.
Oh, no concerns. They're going to win 14. I have real concerns about wide receiver play.
Okay.
I worry for them that they don't have enough wide receivers, that they don't have enough game-breaking wide receivers, which puts so much pressure on Quinshon Judkins. It puts a lot of pressure on running the quarterback. It puts a lot of pressure on both tight ends, Caden Prieskorn and Michael Trigg. I'm not as confident as some others that Zachary Franklin's going to play. Or that he's going to be healthy, ready to answer the bell if he does. Yeah. The big one for me is, so I have two questions with Ole Miss. One is receiver play. And the other, and we'll get to this on another team in a minute, is, man, you're bringing in a new coordinator and so many new faces on defense. Like, can you make that? Just because you have all these pieces doesn't mean that you can fit them into the puzzle and make them pretty. I mean, if the pieces, a bunch of pretty pieces, and they're just scattered all over the place, you're like, well, I don't understand. Well, it's because it's not put together yet. And you got to put it together. And I don't like the way Ole Miss's schedule's laid out. I've told people this. I don't. I mean, you got at Alabama, LSU comes home to you, and then Arkansas's a week after that. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, it could get out of hand
quick.
And so I have those are my questions.
Okay. My biggest one is depth. Period. I think Ole Miss can put together 22 players out there. They can play football. And play football at a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
The only position that I'm like, woo, man, they are deep is quarterback. Well, guess what? Only one can play. I mean, you can sit here and make it. I mean, how many programs could Spencer Sanders play?
Oh, I mean, tons. I mean,
how about Walker Howard?
A bunch. I mean, and they love the kid. You've stacked a room.
He's starting quarterback in 24, by the way. If he's not the Friday night starter over the week in the spring, but Saturday probably. But anyway, here's my thing. So let's look. like you talk about Quinshon Judkins, legit Heisman Trophy candidate to start the season, right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
He can't play every play. And God forbid, because I don't want nothing to happen to a kid. Let's say he goes down in some random fucking injury. Who's playing running back? You got 3 running backs on scholarship.
Yeah, you'd be dependent on the freshman Riscano. You're counting on Bentley being something that he wasn't a year ago, and then I don't even know after that.
You see, like you're one play away from being in big time trouble in your running game.
Right.
Big time trouble.
Right.
Quarterback, you're fine. Tight ends, which I've said publicly, I think is the best, arguably, it's ever been in a room, talent wise.
They got a really good tight end room.
Really good tight end room.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you're going to see a lot more 12 personnel
I
sets.
Do too. Mm-hmm. 1 back, 2 tight end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1 back. I probably need to say that, don't I? Sets.
I did it for you.
Yeah, thank you. Because I'm in the same thing at the receiver room. You know, this Zachary Franklin deal. Did y'all touch on that this morning?
Yes.
So he'll be here. He's going to get to class. That's not going to be a problem. But it's the other things, right? It's okay if he's out for a while following his procedure. Okay, let's say you had the surgery today or last week or whenever. You're talking about 4 to 5 weeks being ready. Okay, you're pushing it up close to the first game. He's not going to be ready to play.
Right.
So you're going. You can't. You're trying to get ready for games. You can't be teaching somebody plays. He's going to be a guy. He's not going to be a difference maker. Does that make sense? Like,
of course.
And you need a guy. You need a guy to be a difference maker.
Yeah, they need him to come in and look. They brought in Chris Marshall to be a big difference maker, and when he was performing in the spring, my God, I was like, "Ooh, this kid is so talented." And then I kept saying to myself, "Man, an SEC school let this kid walk as a freshman," and then you find out why. And so they rolled the dice on Marshall. They came up empty. And now they kind of put all their eggs in Franklin's basket after they missed on a couple of guys. Aiden Williams is a wild card. I just don't think it's fair to look at a true freshman out of Ridgeland, Mississippi, and go, man. Hey, Aiden, we know you're going to be a really good player. We were kind of wondering if you could, I don't know, be a really good player like right now. I don't think that's fair. And so to count on that, I mean, I don't think that's what Derek and them are going to do. I don't think they're going to put that type of pressure on a kid.
No, he's got to come in and help.
Yeah.
But you can't. But when was the last time a true freshman wide receiver came and carried a team?
I mean, I can't think of it.
Yeah, I mean, they'll come in and be explosive and do some things, but
He'll
carry
do
a team,
stuff. Yeah,
carry a team, be a guy.
But is he going to be the guy that catches 80 balls? I don't think so.
I'll tell you who I like. I think they hit a home run. I really have liked the Trey Harris kid from La Tech. I think he's a baller. As a receivers guy, I think he's a dude.
And they have some guys like that. I wonder about, do you have enough?
Right.
Do you have enough to kind of get through a year? Because last year, by the end of the year, they were kind of thin there, and it showed. And I agree with you about depth. And look, like I said, all the new faces on defense, they need the offense to be really good, I think. We'll see. Maybe I'm completely wrong on the defense. Maybe Pete Golding will come in, and he'll put all these pieces together, and by the middle of September, they're going to be an elite defensive team. I just think that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, the same thing on defense is like, now they got plenty of DBs. They should be good. They should be good.
They got lots of them.
They got lots of bodies, okay? But knowing what Pete's doing on defense, they're going to know what to do. They're going to be sound in what they do.
Yeah.
Which is, look, man, if you can get the guys in the right places, now they got to make plays. But it's the depth. Same issue with their depth. All right, Arkansas.
I mean, 15-0. Sanders wins the Heisman. Offensively, I don't have a lot of questions about them from talking to people. I think they're better up front than they get credit for. I mean, they have some really solid players up front. I think Dan Enos and KJ Jefferson are going to get along great.
Agree.
In many ways, I think it's a much better fit for him. They've got depth at running back. They're not as dependent on Sanders carrying the load as maybe Ole Miss is right now with Quinshon Judkins. They brought in some dudes at receiver that they're super high on. They're kind of unproven, but they're guys that they're high on inside that program. Defensively, they're a lot like Ole Miss. New coordinator, one that doesn't have anything near the pedigree of Pete Golding, but Travis Williams, great recruiter. A lot of new faces on defense. They're having to replace a lot of production defensively. Drew Sanders, Bumper Pool, I think played 9 years at Arkansas. You've got some guys that played a lot of football. I don't think people realize, because Arkansas was so bad on defense last year, I don't think people realize just how good Drew Sanders was. He was terrific.
Yep.
They have to replace him. I think they'll be a little better up front defensively than they were a year ago, almost by default. Replacing linebackers, a major issue for them. I think they'll be okay in the secondary. Look, Arkansas is a team that has a lot of variance. It's a lot like Ole Miss, a lot like A&M in a lot of ways. In that, I think if the football gods came down and said, "Hey, Arkansas struggles, man. They go 5-7, 6-6," I'm like, I get it. In the same hand, if you tell me, "Hey, they win 8 games," they're a pain in the ass for people because of KJ and Sanders and that offensive front and their ability to run the football and be explosive. I buy that too. I mean, they're one of those teams that it could kind of go either way. They're a fulcrum team. I don't think the teams we're talking about, barring some luck, are going to beat Alabama or LSU. But all the other games, anything.
Arkansas to me, by the way, when it comes to Arkansas, I want to say this. I don't know if there's a more likable coach. I mean, SEC's got some this year, but a more likable coach than Sam Pittman. I freaking love the guy. Every time he talks or gets in front of a microphone, like I want to go have a beer with that guy. I think he's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I think if you did the list of what coach would you like to go have a beer with, I'm going to surprise you with a couple of my answers.
So curious.
Pittman would be way up there because he's just a fun dude. And he appears to really like beer. And I'm with him on that. I think Beamer would be a fun guy to go have a beer with.
He's one of them. Yeah, no doubt.
I think Kirby would be a fun guy to go have a beer with.
I can't. Kirby is Kirby.
That's my secret. Like, I know Kirby's like compared to Saban a lot. I don't think they're very similar.
No. I'll just say this. Kirby away from the camera is fucking awesome.
Well, I kind of gathered that from talking to some people.
Like, people are like, "Oh, I don't know. He's this, that." Nah. Kirby away from the camera is about as, I guarantee you. I remember we talked about this.
And I think I'd like Josh Heupel too. He's pretty laid back.
I've met him a couple times recruiting. Okay. I don't know him.
Okay.
But Kirby is like, he's go play golf with Kirby and the cameras aren't on. Fun times. Kirby's fun. All right. But Arkansas, going back, same thing what you said, defense is going to be the whole thing with me on them. Here's the interesting thing. I think they're good enough on offense and got the right pieces with KJ, with Rocket Sanders. I think they got to be able to manage the game a little bit better. See, that going back half a step here to Ole Miss, that's where my concern is. Lane will try to score 1,000 points if he can. He could give 2 shits if they can stop you or not on defense. He just wants to put up numbers and put up points. That's a concern this year.
Yeah.
Pittman will manage the game. If they're struggling, they can run the football to shorten the game, which I think is very key part to Ole Miss's success, very similar to Arkansas' success. If Arkansas can control games, keep their defense off the field, if they're not playing well, because their linebacker depth's a very big issue there right now, right?
For sure.
If they can keep those guys off the field enough to manage the game, to get a stop or two and shorten the game with these new clock rules, pay attention, new clock rules, is going to be able to shorten, it's going to shorten possessions in the game. So you got to be more that's the biggest thing I'm interested in this season is the clock rules, because it's going to be like more like NFL rules, right? You got to be a little more intentional with your offensive possessions. You can't just go freaking 3 and out knowing you're going to get 57 possessions in the game.
Yep.
So I think they can do that with their offensive personnel at Arkansas. I think he's in a good position to do that. But linebacker depth would be the question there. All right, Mississippi State.
You know, I think Rodgers doesn't get the credit he deserves at quarterback. They've got some explosive weapon guys. Defensively, I don't know that they'll fall off the way that some people think they will. Arnett had built a really good defense there. He's still there. I mean, I just glanced down at your notes, and so I'm stealing your thing here because it's what I think. They want to try to run the ball and be a little more physical and aggressive, and I don't know that they've recruited the offensive line over the last couple of years to be that, and I think that's going to bite them.
So, yeah, offensive line is probably the biggest concern there. I don't think there's going to be as much drop off offensively as people think, because it's going to look different.
Yeah,
all right, it's going to look totally different. But
Look, sign me up for these experienced quarterbacks that have won some games. Okay,
it works.
I mean, sign me up for the Will Rogers and the KJ Jeffersons of the world that have done this for a minute, right? I mean,
it means something.
It does.
But Barber, the OC that came in from App State, right? The guy he will take what he has and make it work. He's one of those guys. He's not like, this is what we're running. He's going to go recruit the best players or get the 11 best guys, and he's going to put them out there. Obviously, 5 of those guys have to be offensive linemen. That's why I'm leaving it what I'm leaving it. But probably sneakily, maybe the best hire. I'd say best, if not second best, coordinator hire in the league this year. And nobody's talking about it. This guy can coach now.
Well, I think of the West teams, Mississippi State's the kind of the great unknown. Arnett's young guy. Nobody really knows what to expect from him. Made some staff hires. There's been so much talk, still because he's replacing a guy that was kind of a legend in college sports. And so still when people talk Mississippi State, there's a lot of Mike Leach posthumously. And that's understandable.
Yeah.
But I think that takes away from some of the discussion about what they have as opposed to what they were. And I think there's just a lot of, I don't know, who knows what they are.
He's just, you saw what he did. How many points they score against Troy, and we saw how good their defense was, during the year. They're the only team to beat Troy last year, right, in the Sun Belt. So I really like the guy. I think he's a hell of a coach. I'm interested to see what they do, especially if they can get the offensive line rolling, because if he can get outside zone stretch working in his offense, it's hell on wheels now. I'm talking about it will change because nobody in this league really runs it like they do, and it would be something new and something interesting, and I'll be excited to see there. All right, my Auburn Tigers, War Eagle, grind. It's time to discuss your Auburn Tigers.
I have concerns about whether they're going to be able to, in year one, get that preseason prayer circle. I'm kidding. It's a joke.
I was trying to figure out what you're talking about.
Playing, quarterback play. That's one. Does he have a quarterback that can kind of do for him maybe what Bo Wallace did in year one at Ole Miss? Depth issues. That was not a super talented roster by the end of last season. That would be one. Just that. And here's the other one for Auburn. It's a challenge for Hugh. Hugh can be thin-skinned, and there's going to be criticism. And his ability to block that out and just coach his football team and not get into that stuff where it starts becoming noise, because it's different than Ole Miss, and it's obviously a ton different than Liberty, right? Like you go to Liberty and you lose at ULM, and there's still nobody to really challenge you on it. Like, how'd you lose that game? What happened? It's like, oh, well, hey, coach, you're still Hugh Freeze, and you're better than what we would have had, so forget it. At the SEC level, you drop a game that everybody thought you were going to win. There's some heat that comes. His ability to sort of handle that heat, to grow the tougher skin, because he's competing with Nick Saban and Kirby Smart at Auburn now. It's not at Ole Miss anymore. It's at Auburn. It's different.
Yeah.
I don't mean that as a criticism of Ole Miss. It's different. It's like being the coach when you're the coach at Auburn, for example, and you go to Mississippi State to play a game. They don't get all rabid about you because you're orange and blue. They want to beat you, but it's like, whatever. You go in there with an Ole Miss thing on, it's like they want to kill you. They want to separate your head from the rest of your body.
It is a toxic rivalry.
I remember Houston Nutt hearing that, and he didn't believe it because he'd been at Arkansas for 10 years, and he'd gone 1-9 against Mississippi State. He'd gone to Starkville 5 times and won or whatever, and he was like, I don't get it. What are you talking about? And people are like, hey, you're not wearing the Razorback thingy Saturday, or maybe you should, but you're probably going to wear the Ole Miss thing, and it's going to be different, and it was. And it was something that it was eye-opening for him. So that for Hugh, it's going to be different being the Auburn coach when you go play Alabama, when you play Georgia. So it's just how he handles that. I think is going to be a challenge in year one. And I don't know that I just don't know that they have, talking to people around that team, I just don't know that they have enough dudes.
They have O-line depth is a problem, I think. And then how the quarterbacks are played are probably my biggest questions. I'm the worst at this. I think they televise this for me because I think I'm the only viewer. It gets close to football season, they're looking for freaking programming, and they start airing these old college football games with SEC Network.
Sure, they ought to do more of it.
I was watching the Auburn-Alabama game last year. It was on TV. And I'm like, holy shit! Like Robbie Ashford looked like a fucking dude in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he looked like a dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there and I'm watching this. I'm like, if Hugh could get the Auburn Alabama game last year, Robbie Ashford to play quarterback for him this year, they're going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Because here's the best way I can describe it. O-line's a question. Okay. Receivers, I trust what I've been told. They've gone out and got some guys that can play in that system. He likes big guys. So there's going to be some things he can do there system wise. But here's the thing is like, and I've told you this story privately, but when we came here in 2012, we came to Ole Miss, we had the worst offensive line that's ever been assembled in the history of the NCAA.
You had 5 players.
Okay. Like the worst ever.
Yeah.
We managed to rush for 220 yards a game in the SEC.
Yeah.
Have no idea why. But it was just like you can do things in that system to manipulate blocking schemes. You're not running downhill all the time. You can suck. There's so many things you can do, right? And a key part of that is going to be, can the quarterback run the football? Peyton Thorne, I haven't seen enough from him. Like he's more of a Bo Wallace type guy. Okay.
Yeah.
He can run, but he's not going to beat you running. Robbie Ashford will beat your ass running. If he can get the Auburn, Alabama, Robbie Ashford to play for Auburn this year, just that one game, the guy was making throws. He was running, playing out of his mind. If that guy shows up in Auburn, Alabama this year, they're going to be a problem. There'll be a headache because he can do things offensively that can eliminate some of the weaknesses.
Yeah.
All right. I think they're going to be fine on defense. I think Ron Roberts is one of the best coordinators in the country.
Got a chance to be really good on the back end.
Got a good chance to be really good on defense.
Yeah.
He knows that I'm not telling anything out of turn. I guess I am. I don't care. I begged him not to give up play calling when he got this job. I think he's done it. I wish Hugh was calling it. I understand why, but I wish he was calling it. Hugh Freeze is one of the best in-game callers of plays I've ever been around. All right, he sees it. He does a great job. He's
I'll be
top
shocked
5.
if he's not doing it by the middle of the year.
He's not though.
Okay.
He really isn't.
Okay.
Me too. I wish. I hope he does. I asked him specifically, please, if you take this job, please call the plays. I specifically asked him that. But I think he's one of the best play callers I've ever been around for sure. And I've been around some good ones, a couple in this league. But Montgomery's calling it. You know, it was at Tulsa last year.
Yep.
He's also a great coach. But I'm just that would be the biggest things for me because I think if Robbie Ashford, if Hugh Freeze can get the Alabama game quarterback out of Robbie Ashford, they're going to be hell on wheels.
All right, we'll do this on Thursday with the SEC East. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate you joining us. We're brought to you by Reign Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push your limits and achieve your goals. So check them out on Instagram at Reign Body Fuel to learn more. For Tyler Siskey, I'm Neal McCready. Until Thursday, take care.